Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Well, today, as you know, I'm going to enlighten you about something. I'm going to instruct you about something. And I chose a historical event, being the history geek that I am. Well, one may ask, what is the most important achievement mankind has made? What is the thing that has shaken the ground the most? Well, I have no certain answer for that, for sure. But I do know that the events that took place on July 20th, 1969 were remarkable and changed us forever. One may think that landing 2 men on the moon was just a success for 2 men, but in reality, it was a success for all of us, being able to unify to send those 2 men, to develop the technology to send those 2 men. Well, first and foremost, this was a success in engineering, but it was not only a success in engineering, it was a success in being able to expand beyond our limitations, beyond gravity, to reach into the realm of space and be able to learn more about it, and to be able to expand into it. Well, Apollo 11 was a success in engineering and had many innovations involved. Well, development of rockets began in the 1940s, shortly following World War II, and the model for the 1960 model was named the V2 rocket, which was quite plainly impractical for space travel. That thing was not getting off the ground, guys. Well, finding out how to land something successfully on the moon was something that fell into the hands of rocket scientists, which, as you know, are very intelligent people that work diligently at making things that are aerodynamic and can fly into the sky at hundreds of miles an hour. Well, we also had the help of primitive computers, which were essential in guiding these rockets and the motion and aerodynamics and stuff like that. Well, the design of the lunar module was no easy task. 400 engineers worked on it, and it was landing something safely on the moon with all the factors in the space over there, just not an easy task, and they should be saluted for finding out a way to land men safely on the moon. Well, apart from being an achievement in engineering, this was also an achievement in politics and was a product of the social and political climate of the 60s and 70s. Well, as you know, the Soviet Union and the United States were in an iron hold against each other. They were part of a big space race, the Cold War. It was part of the Cold War. We were in great competition for glory against each other, quite plainly. Glory, God, and gold are the 3 motivators for space travel, or any kind of travel, any kind of expansion. But I think that glory was the greatest motivator for the United States in achieving this great thing. JFK even blatantly accelerated the space program to be able to achieve glory against the Soviet Union. However, this was costly, and about 50% of people thought that Apollo was costing too much and that it wasn't really necessary. And congressional consensus fell along with the consensus of this people. There was less consensus, in other words. By the 70s, people were losing faith in the NASA program, and that's why we haven't sent many manned missions back to the moon. However, this is a fine achievement. It is remarkable. It's a milestone for humanity, because we triumphed in getting past our atmosphere, which a million years ago people weren't even considering it. Now we're thousands of feet into space. I mean, remarkable. Okay, and finally, in the words of Stephen Hawking, the moon landing gave us new perspectives about life, about how we can expand and how we can learn. But in 1492, for example, everybody thought Columbus was nuts in trying to go across the sea westward, but he made one of the greatest discoveries, the New World. And this is exactly what this is. Even though consensus has been falling, we do know that this is the possibilities are limitless in space, that we can find and learn many different things in space. Okay, this can be considered a final frontier for us. And the greatest thing about space is that it's endless. We can find out so many things about it. Well, it also establishes our presence in space, which is very important. Hawking believes that if we are to survive in the long term, we need to expand into space to find a way to make life in outer space practical for humans. And that is exactly what we see it as. We see it as a stepping stone to our long-term survival, which is also a prime motivator for space travel. Okay, these three effects can be merged to have a profound effect on humanity. After July 20th, 1969, the human race no longer saw itself as a group of people trapped within an atmosphere by gravity. We now saw ourselves as a people that can unify and create the technology needed to expand into outer space, to shoot ourselves thousands of miles into the sky, beyond the borders of any nation, state, or political boundary, or any physical boundary for that matter. It was a symbol of progress, and it was first and foremost an achievement for all mankind. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.